Ooh, this would be easier if you guys weren't looking at me. So, what I want to talk about today is faith. Corey first told me that I was going to preach. I was super excited. And then about a minute later, I freaked out. I've never talked like this before in front of people. I mean, I've done public speaking, but I've never like shared my heart, in front of people. I'm not so great with that, so bear with me. So I was talking to somebody, a very wise woman, and I told her, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I don't know what to preach about. I'm not like, super, like Corey is, it's not me, So she told me something that I'm probably going to remember for the rest of my life, and she said, if you tell what's true, you tell something that's real, then that can have an impact that, you have no idea. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you guys something that's true.
Amen.
For a while, throughout my life, I've had off and on issues with my faith. I've been struggling with that for a long time. And about a year ago, a little over a year ago when I came back to church, I was just curious, like, why am I struggling with faith? What is going on? Why all of a sudden am I, doubting God? And I have no idea. So I started talking to people, and I started asking them just, one question. So, what is faith? How do you get it? How did you, find it? And what do you do with it? A lot of answers I got were ironic. They were like, oh, you just have to believe. Just have faith. I'm like, that's awesome. What does that even mean? I had no idea what to do with that. So I talked to Nakia. I'm sure many of you guys know Nakia. And she told me something that was really helpful. She said, start with little things. When you want to have faith, you got to start small. Especially with somebody who's been, in and out of the church like you have. So I started small, and I started doing these little exercises with myself and saying, okay, God, I'm going to have faith that you're going to take my headache away, or I'm going to have faith that you're going to get me home safe. That didn't really work for me. After about a week, I realized that felt too much like testing him. That's just me. I mean, I'm sure some people have worked that way, but for me, it felt like I was testing him. Like I was saying, I'm going to believe in you if you do this, and I didn't like that. So I kind of prayed a lot, and that's ironically how I got my answer too, was through prayer. Was God taught me how to pray for faith, and He said, okay, pray for what you need, not necessarily for what you want. So what I started doing was I started learning how to pray and ask for the right things. I started asking for patience. I started asking for strength, and when big situations would come up, in my life, stressful moments, I'd freak out for a second, and then I would just say, okay, I'm not going to ask you to take this away because you're probably not going to anyway, but I will ask for strength and patience and so forth. And it worked, which is pretty cool. So I want to encourage any of you guys out there that, if you're struggling with faith, to step one, just pray. I mean, you can't even go wrong with that. And if you do, ask God. I mean, that's what I did. I said, okay, I feel like I'm praying now, so could you kind of help me out? And He did. It was really neat. And so I've got this verse, Matthew 21, verse 22, and it says, and whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith. So prayer is one of the ways I learned how to trust in Him and to have faith. Yeah. So the second thing that really worked for me was strengthening my faith by using baby steps. I know that's a lot of people do that with like self-help books. Just take baby steps. Well, there's a reason, because it works. So taking baby steps was the next step for me. I started taking small steps with my faith. I'm one of those type of people that when I'm at point A and something goes wrong, I look all the way to point Z without even thinking about all the rest of the steps, and I start freaking out. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to make it to that. There's no way that's gonna work. So it took some trial and error, but baby steps was how I learned. Go from A to B and pray about it. Go from B to C and pray about that. C to D, pray about that, etc., etc.
That's good.
And that was a really good way that worked for me. So I started praying for God to equip me with what I need at that point, at that big step.
That's good.
So I think that, might be helpful for somebody out here that might be going through something. You guys, you're looking all the way to Z and you're freaking out. And we do that. That's what we do. But try not to. And I know that sounds stupid. Just pray. We're going to move on. Actually, that was my next point. Like, God, just pray. So God knows, He knows us, and He knows what we can and we can't handle. And I know through learning, and I'm sure many of you guys have too, that we can't handle life without God.
Yeah.
And we weren't made to, anyways. He didn't make us to, go off, have your life. That's not true. So I know that by strengthening your faith with prayer and with taking baby steps, you're letting Him into your life.
Yeah.
And
that's good, right?
And then, the next thing you know, He's there always, and you can feel Him through everything. You just kind of look up and do whatever you do, close your eyes, and He's right there because you're praying, because you're keeping Him with every step that you're taking in your life. Not just the stressful situations, but the bigger ones too.
Yeah.
Got a verse for that. So Luke 1 verse 37 says, "For with God nothing shall be impossible." And I know that sometimes big situations can seem impossible, but He wants us to ask for His help.
Yeah.
And He wants us to learn how to trust Him.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times with these situations He puts us in, those situations are there, so we learn how to trust Him.
Yeah.
I know for me anyways, that's definitely happened. Maybe I'm going through life and I'm not, really including God, and then boom, something crazy happens. And it's like, oh, okay, now I need you. And and that, and then the next time He's automatically there, and it just kind of strengthens our relationship with Him, So my third point is doubting after a little while. And this definitely happens, I think, to all of us. Even if we're going strong with God, doubt can creep in, definitely. And I think this doubt is it's really common for us, our age group, especially for us, because we tend to go through a lot of change. School, work, life, family, moving out, getting married. So my question was, why is it so hard to keep our faith in God? And why is it so hard to keep trusting Him through this change? And through these, big moments. So my theory is we need to see everything. We need to have proof. I mean, even today in the court of law, it's like if you don't have evidence, you're not winning nothing. Yeah. I actually read this book about this guy that did training at Quantico Bay, and they have a saying there. It's called trust but verify. And when we're kind of shaky on our faith anyways, and somebody wants us to verify and defend, it's not always easy. And you feel like you're getting attacked, and you're just like, okay, well, back off. And then, there goes some more trust. So, I do have a verse for this one. Hebrews 11 verse 1 says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen." I know Pastor Don said this one today too. It's a good one. So I know that it's hard for us to learn how to live and thrive when the world is telling us that they need, evidence and they need verification. And it's the opposite of what God's telling us.
That's good.
So a couple verses that I like to use when I feel like that, I'm getting a little weak in my faith, the world's attacking me, are 1 Corinthians 2, verse 5. It says that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. Yeah. So don't let men or the world make you doubt your faith, because faith doesn't come from the world, it comes from God.
Yeah.
Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6 say, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." And the big one there for me is lean not on your own understanding.
Yeah.
I know that I pray that one a lot too. It's like, God, don't let me lean on myself. Because, what have I done? Lean on Him. Because He's the one who does everything. He's made everything. He made you. You can't lean on you that He made you. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So having scripture to back up faith, it's a really good feeling, I think. But that doesn't mean that you won't still doubt God sometimes. It doesn't automatically make your faith stronger. So I want to give you guys some food for thought. First, ask yourself, why am I doubting God? And then ask Him. Ask Him what's going on. Ask Him why you're doubting Him. Is it because of your own insecurities? Is it because you're on the wrong path? Or maybe it's just because God's trying to teach you something with all of this. You know, maybe you're going through these periods of doubt or stress or scary situations because God's going to turn that around.
Yeah.
Flip it, and you're just going to come out a whole new person.
Yeah. Good.
So he's going to make it learn so you can never doubt again. And so think on that and pray on it. Yeah. That's about it.